Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. This is a special video for me today. 1 year ago this week, actually it was on August 26th, I believe, in 2023, I posted what was turned out to be the very first of my regular YouTube postings. And with this 1 year being now gone and more than 100 videos later, I thought, wow, I need to do something kind of special to celebrate. I'm really excited about hitting this milestone. A year ago, I had this idea for an easy way to make a specimen card with a 4-leaf clover. My friend Connie and her husband Bill and Dan and I had been on vacation together, and Bill, Connie's husband, has a great knack for finding 4-leaf clovers, and he found a couple of 4-leaf clovers that he gave to us that he found in the middle of Rome, which was incredible. And I made a little specimen card that I then mailed to them. But oddly, it seems to get all of these people watching, and I hadn't promoted it. I hadn't expected it. I had posted a few YouTube videos before, but it was mostly just ways to kind of participate in Junk Journal January or Defember or some sort of specific event. I had a few things that just videos around the house that I had posted to share with family previously. But once I posted that 4-leaf clover video, and it seemed to get a bunch of views, and I was just astonished. I thought, I really enjoy watching YouTube craft videos. I enjoy participating in the social media space. Why don't I don't know if I'm going to have any ideas to participate legitimately in YouTube, but let me just see. I'll just post a few things. It's turned into something that I've really, really enjoyed. So I want to thank you for all of that. And I thought to observe my 1-year anniversary of regular YouTube postings, I might make what I've planned to do for a long time, which is a whimsical journal. I do lots of traditional junk journal elements and bring those ideas to you too. But I really enjoy when I'm able to do something just kind of whimsical and offbeat. So I'm going to make a journal in several stages, and let's just see where it goes. In doing this, I really kind of want to mention many of the artists that have inspired me and to help me learn over the past year. So I will be mentioning a lot of folks. The first of which is going to be, this is an Amazon package, Amazon mailing envelope that I'm going to use for the cover of this journal. And of course, our dear Gayle Agostinelli, I have to give her credit for just really inspiring me to use Amazon mailing envelopes for journal covers. They work just great. So Gayle has been a wonderful inspiration to me, as she is to many of us. In actually decorating this Amazon envelope, I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but I've learned to be okay with that. And I've learned a lot of that from Shana at Shanouki Arts. I'm going to be putting links into all of these wonderful folks below. I'm sure there are people that you already follow too, but Shana at Shanouki Arts, I've learned so much from mixed media, about mixed media from Shana. And I'm just going to get started, and we're going to decorate this Amazon envelope because I wanted the colors to be kind of bright and kind of whimsical. I don't use a lot of pink, but I'm going to use some pink today. However, I'm going to start with some of this camel color, this acrylic paint, and I'm just going to scrape on. I'm using a tile from the home improvement store as a palette over here, and that is an idea I got from Ceri Griffiths at Ceri the Crafter. I never would have known that it was okay to apply paint with just a credit card like this, or this is an old hotel room key. But once I started watching Shana, I realized, wow, that turns out kind of neat. I want some of my background of this Amazon mailing envelope to still show. Don't want to cover the whole thing. Don't want to use brushes. I'm just scraping it on here and I'm not overthinking. There we go. I do want to get some coverage down here in this corner. A little bit up there. All right, we're going to dry between layers. Okay, the next step is to apply little patches of book page onto this surface. And I'm just going to put glue directly onto the journal cover. And I have a couple of pages of an old version of Little Women that I love. And that's just sort of an irregular little piece of real estate. I don't want these whole pieces to be here because I'm going to be tearing away just for tearing away the part that adheres, and it's going to be really, really suppressed in the background. But I think a little bit of Little Women will show up here. I'm going to let these pieces dry really well, and then I'm going to come back and rip them off like band-aids and see what kind of mystery text is floating there in the background. Again, not overthinking it. Whoops, that ink is still a little bit wet there. Let's put one more over here. And we'll let that dry really well. Okay, let's see if these little scraps have dried enough to give us the effects that we're looking for. I'm just going to grab one of these open ends here. And I think that could work. I want that real uneven, soft edge because I'm only picking up the part of the scrap that is not adhered down. That makes sense, doesn't it? I want that irregularity. I want that soft edge there. This is a technique I'm sure that I first saw Shana do. I think she did it on index cards, and it just was such a neat, kind of grungy, kind of whimsical, kind of just haphazard, trust the process sort of thing, and certainly easy. But I thought I've tried it several times. I use it on playing cards. I use it on index cards. And we have a little bit more of an effect with some pieces than others. But this is all going to be kind of kicked in the background anyway, so you do end up with lots of little bits. Okay, there's our little uneven pieces of book page, and then I'm going to do something that Shana does all the time, is she takes a little bit of gesso and just rubs some gesso around the edges of that paper. And I'm just gonna use my fingers here and soften that. She sometimes uses her fingers, she sometimes uses a brush. This is going to look kind of weird, but it's all going to come together in the end. I'm learning, when I follow some techniques of Shana's, I'm learning to trust the process, because it's all about the layers. Something Ceri Griffiths always says too, all about the layers. I'm going to be adding a little more color after this, but boy, gesso gives a nice sort of a misty look to things that are going to recede a little bit more into the background of our journal. I'm eager to get this cover made because I want to get onto the inside of this whimsical journal as well. And looks like I got part of my cover onto my palette there. And am I worried about that? I am not. There we go. And I just did it again. Oh, Anne. My crafting space is a little bit limited here on camera, but again, I don't mind at all. I'm probably going to be covering up that stuff on the inside anyway. All right, there's a little bit of that, and now we're gonna, this almost dries. This dries almost instantly. I think I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next step, which is letting some watercolors drip over the edge. So I've got my watercolors here, which I've really been enjoying using. I'm going to use some pink acrylic later on. What do I want to combine with that? I think I might go with some green, and then the pink will look nice with that. But you know what? I'm going to go with the olive. I'm going to go with the olive green. So I don't want lots of a real primary kind of look to it. And this is a technique that Shana does a lot. Get that watercolor, and she just sort of puts paint along the edge like this, and then sprays it and lets the water run. Isn't that an interesting technique? Now that some of the dampness has gotten onto this part of the page, I can add some more and let it run a little bit more. I'm going to keep on doing this along the top of my page, and then I'll let it dry, and then we'll add a little more color. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, that watercolor is pretty much dry. Let's add some pink. I'm going to go back in with this same hotel key and scrape on just a little bit. I don't want a whole lot of pink, but I do want enough to really brighten it up. Just a few little scrapings of it. Again, without planning, without overthinking it. How many times have I heard the YouTubers I admire say over and over, don't overthink this, just go with it. getting in a little crevice there. Okay, let's let that dry. Okay, still looking pretty messy here, but I'm going to try adding a little bit of this turquoise, and then I'm going to be adding some black for contrast. But this turquoise, I'm hoping, is going to have a heavy enough coverage that I can make some really bold little series of squares. And I'm just going to kind of put these in randomly wherever there seems to be a little bit of dead space visually. They're not going to be perfect squares. But they're going to give us the illusion of squares. That's going to add some visual interest. I'm just going to keep going with this, and I'll be back when it's dry. Okay, I got all those little squares marked in there with that turquoise acrylic paint. And now I'm taking a white acrylic paint marker, and I'm outlining those little squares. So they're going to start to look like little windows on this journal cover. I'm not worried about precision. And now, just to get a little more contrast, I'm going to do some mark making with a black acrylic paint. Eesh, this is nerve-wracking, but let's see if it works. Oh, just a second, I realized I don't have my lights on over here. Hope that helps a little bit. There's a few little... I think I might be okay with this. I was thinking about stamping some stuff, but I've never done this particular technique before with the edge of a card. It gives some nice contrast. I was thinking about just doing some squiggle drawing. I've done that before. But I always get a little nervous around that as well. It seems like these black marks are rather committal. You know, there's no mistaking that they're making a statement here. But yeah, this is working out. It's worth the experiment, and I actually think I'm really liking this. That might do it. I think I'm going to go in once this dries and put some white spatters on it. Then we'll be done with the cover. Okay, it's one day later, and I have the cover finished. I put a coat of Mod Podge on it after I let the white spatters dry. I have to say, I just love it. It's unlike anything I've ever done before. It's kooky, it's off kilter, it's unusual. It has a little bit of the vintage vibe, but it has, I just feel like it has a lot of energy. And I feel I'm going to be thinking about the other YouTubers that I have learned some of these techniques from when I use it. So I have it put together. The Mod Podge I've taken to putting a final thin layer of Mod Podge on my journal covers, my paper journal covers, because I write in my journals all the time. They're all over the house. They're out in the garden with me. They're in my office. They're in the kitchen. And if I happen to set it down on the kitchen counter and get a grease stain on the back, I don't really want that. So the Mod Podge protects it from that. Anyway, the journal is put together. I took my time with the signature, and I have that all stitched in, and now I'm going to start filling it. So we'll see how far we get. You might remember that I had put my the inside of this cover down into some of the gesso. I just took advantage of that and rubbed some more gesso up there, and that's a sky with clouds, and that was all a mistake, but it turned into something that I really like. So let's just get started in decorating this journal of whimsy. I have pulled together a lot of things from my stash. These are, I have a stack of pockets over here. I have a stack or a little bin of things to put in pockets. These, I have a little box of embellishments. Oh, look at some of my little birds. And a few little, little things that we can use on edges and such. And I pulled things that really did seem to fit fit the brief of being whimsical. So let's get started. You can see that I have, besides this on the inside cover, I have put a couple of pockets in here. And these are just pieces of cardstock that I cut from a calendar. I thought that artwork was big and bold and joyful and whimsical. So I thought that was fine. I was thinking that it might be nice to have this in the front cover. So I think I'm going to follow my instincts here. This is you're going to see a lot of things that you've seen before because many of these things are things I've made on camera. I'll link below. So you can just go there and find more detailed instructions should you wish to have those in any of the steps that we're going to be going over in the next few minutes. There's a tag in there that's a postcard from my friend Connie from when she was in Iceland, and that looked whimsical. I think I'm just going to go ahead and glue this little pocket down. I love these little birds. So we will get started doing this. I can't believe this is finally happening, because this whimsical journal has been on my mind to do, honestly, for months. But when I thought about doing it as a sort of an observation of my first year on YouTube, it just seemed right. It seemed right to me. So we'll get this down. This is I did these signatures using my Franken paper technique, where I made a giant snippet roll with papers and then cut them down into the size that can fit into the signature. And that gives a little unusual exuberance. This is on the back of an old envelope. Okay. There's our first entry. We're not going to have stuff on every page because I want to be able just to write on some pages. But let's just kind of keep going. This is an unusual little pocket that I made in a flower pot. And I thought maybe that would be kind of cute here. And I want to be careful when I glue this down that I only glue right on the edges of this little pocket that I believe the base, I think I made that out of a manila folder. And the top part is a decoupaged napkin. I had some cardstock that I had embossed. It's being also a card maker. I'm lucky that I have access in my scrap pile to a fair amount of altered papers that I have used in card making, and I have frequent reason to go back and use those techniques and some of the papers themselves in my junk journal world. Okay, there's that. What about something a little bit different? What if I wanted to do... Actually, I think I'm going to flip to the back, because I've seen folks like Gayle will often skip through a journal just to sort of distribute things evenly. And I like that idea. This was a fun project. These whimsical flowers. So I think that might be a nice one. You know, it's going to leave a lot of blank stuff around here. Why don't I put a fairly big pocket here? Great. I don't know what's going to go in there, but we will make certain that happens. I think I'm going to have the opening on the side. This is our cityscape motif, and this was the super easy one that I used, not the collaged version, but the use a marker and do it quickly version of a cityscape on a book page. There we go. So this is going to be open here, and I don't know exactly what's going to go in there yet, but this page is designated. What about... I had a piece of paper that I had stenciled an A on. I don't know that I really love that, but let's put something kind of smaller here. I kind of like this over here. This is one of my, it didn't really fall into the whimsical category, but this is one of the pockets inspired by the Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress. Those are words we didn't expect to hear together or at any time. But when I showed this on camera, people just loved this little, you know, 3D looking fish that fell out of a child's library book. And I liked them together too. So I thought they deserve a place here in this whimsical journal. Why don't I do a little stenciling perhaps here? This stencil has, looks like they need to go through a soak. I've got a bit of coffee stain on here. This is just a trip down memory lane for me to look at all of these different things, and I'm really enjoying it. That little guy, I feel like it needs a little something else there. I'm starting to overthink things that I don't like, but let me pull out maybe what about a little bit of music? This is from the Khalil Gibran song that I was talking about a while ago, the sheet music I ran across when I was finding a binder. Yes, I like that, and I like the reference to children. I'm gonna have to have a good cleanup in my workspace here after I finish this with all of this mixed media. Just a little more straight. There we go. That gives a little bit of visual grounding. I'm enjoying that. Let's get this little DVF wrap piece down here. I really had no idea when I went to go pull all my stuff together for junk journal elements that, you know, that seemed to self-identify as whimsical. I really had no idea how much I had, and I had quite a lot of stuff. So I'm not going to be able to put every whimsical thing that I have made into this journal, but I think I'll have enough that I can have something that's useful. Okay, so we've got 2 towards the back and 2 towards the front. So why don't I sort of let this fall open a little bit in the middle? Maybe this is where, yeah, this is where that pocket can go. I have no idea how thick this thing is going to get either. I'm going to do a closure, a wrap, a ribbon or a lace closure. Lace seems like it's not really all that whimsical. It's a little more shabby chic, but somehow I kind of like the idea of a lace closure. So I think, you know what? I think I can make this be whatever I wish. And I can put some kind of stamping up there. There's some of these things I can go back and do more later. Here is this was a weird little project, this little torn paper fox. I enjoyed doing this. He probably was not my, you know, my favorite in terms of his final appearance, but he was cute. He was fun to do, and I did find something that I think will fit nicely in here. So I'm going to put this little pocket that's made out of a junk mail window envelope, and we're just going to put Mr. Fox down here. Yeah, when I did these foxes, as I was doing them, I was thinking, oh, this might just be a little bit kooky. Maybe a little bit too much out there. But yet, okay, what do we think about this? Yes. Oh, I like that. I do like that. Okay, that can stay. That can stay. And both of these things have just been sitting in my stash ever since I made them. And I'm glad we're getting these things decorated. What else shall I start with? Here's another big pocket. These are my kooky cats. You know, I almost want to have this just be there as, you know, as a decoration, you know, without anything behind it. I think I can journal next to it and just get this little passel of cats with 2 grumpy ones right there. I think we're just going to have this be its own page decoration and not have to bear the burden of being a pocket, because I've got plenty of other interactive elements here. I do love these cats. I have used them so often in journals. And my daughter has taken the motif and has actually put them into as a decorative element on ceramic mugs. You've probably heard me say before that she, besides being a wonderful midwife, is also a ceramic artist and has her ceramic studio in our garage, which is great. She gets to see her parents frequently, and we get to see her frequently when she's coming to pursue her creative endeavors here at our house. That's, yeah, picking up the green. Yeah, liking those little cats. Liking those little cats. Where else should we go, friends? I think we need, let's put a pocket in here. Here's a pocket that makes me think of my friend, Brian Medlock, down in Salem, Oregon, because it has a cowboy on it, and Brian enjoys a cowboy, and he just did a wonderful cowboy journal on his channel. And I made this inspired by Charlene's studio, making a whole pocket out of just labels. And this particular pants label just makes me think of Brian, and it always will. I just love it. So let's see how we can get this glued down. Brian is one of those people who has so much joy in his creative practice, his collage artistry, and I never miss one of his videos. And he is a guy who just goes for it. And I get so much inspiration and so much joy from him, and there's for you, my friend Brian, that cowboy cut label. What should we put in there? Maybe this is where I could put my little postcard from these girls that I pretended were visiting Oregon. Maybe this is all about Oregon. There we go. That's some fun whimsy there. Yeah, I'm liking that. Oh, gee. How about, so before I was from Oregon, I was from the Midwest. My daughter and her family were in the Midwest this summer at my son-in-law's class reunion in Iowa, and she sent me this postcard. I've covered up the back, but I loved this, the notion of this postcard. The Midwest, friendly folks and salads made with marshmallows. Yes, I have talked about Midwestern cuisine before. I think people everywhere back in the 60s had things like, salads made with marshmallows. But we might as well have a little gentle fun with one another, thinking about the Midwest and its mid-century cuisine. Shall I put this on here as a pocket? I could do that. I could also put this Oregon postcard in there. Or I could put in a little belly band. I'm kind of liking the idea of a belly band and then being able to tuck a few things underneath it. So let me get out my scissors and I'll cut this down to size. This was just a multimedia piece that I think it started out as a collage masterboard, and then I just started sprinkling paint and all kinds of things all over it. I think for anchoring that down, I'm gonna get out a couple of clips so that can dry properly. And I don't mind having this here. This is some of the print work that I did when we were camping. I think that was back in late May when we were in Silver Falls, Oregon, the Silver Falls State Park near Silverton, Oregon. Anyway, I saved this piece. I had not intended for it to be a belly band, but it was just a masterboard that I cut up, and looking at it just now, I thought, yeah, that looks whimsical enough. It could do what I want it to be doing. I'm just going to clamp this down. There we go. Now this can go underneath there, and that's okay. Oh, golly. Do I have more? I want plenty of room just to write, but I do like the idea of putting more whimsy in here. What about these frogs? We just did these frogs the other day. I'll put those frogs there. You can see I'm using a combination of different glues here. Some of the things need the heavy duty 3-in-1, otherwise known as Fabri-Tac or Fabrifix. And for the lighter weight things, the wet glue called Art Glitter Glue comes in handy. It has no glitter in it. It's just the name of the glue. What do you think I could... I can see I'm running a little bit low on pockets. So I might have a few things I might have to make do as pockets. But what could I put in here? I need something a little bit taller. I could throw in that little mushroom. I could throw in a puzzle piece that fits the whimsical brief. Do you know what might be cute in here too? I love this, and I'll tell you why. Speaking of people who have inspired me, this is, I rarely use digital artwork, but this is a digital from my friend Julie Torrens up in Michigan. And this is Julie's original drawing. She has scanned this, and so this isn't just some, you know, stock drawings that, you know, people get from, you know, wherever they get their stock photos. This is original artwork from Julie, and I love using these zinnias, and I love her whimsical style, and I've learned a lot about whimsy from Julie. So why don't I slip that in there, and maybe I'll put a mushroom in there also, and maybe I'll put this little folder in there. And we'll just have that all kind of loaded up with those little froggies. That's cute. What else can go in here, friends? I think we're getting, I won't say it's full, but I will say that we can add some to it. This is one of our little I made this out of a map, actually from, is it from Silver Falls? It's one of the campgrounds we were at this summer. And this is our little rabbit ear pocket. I think I'm going to put that there. And I might not have that much to tuck in there, but I can go back and finish it. We're not going to get 100% done with this thing today, but you're gonna get the essence, whoa, of this whimsical journal. Let's see how much time we've been using here. Yeah, I better wrap up because this is gonna get longer than I usually have. I might put in, I have this little embellishment. I could write a little something about Portland. That can be a little tuck in there. And this is just a little piece of an offcut for some of a larger piece I was doing, but I wanted to save it, and that has some kind of whimsical energy. And maybe I'll just tuck this in here. That might do. I kind of like that. I do like that. There's a couple of other pieces I want to make certain that I get in here. Here's more Oregon. What are the, I'll pull out what I wanted to make certain to include. I like that. And I like this. I think I would like to include that. This little piece is significant to me. This is from my video called Kooky Little Birds, and I get lots and lots of traction on the kooky little birds. I hesitate a little bit to put this in because you can see the way I bent his knee forward there when I was doodling his legs in. Honestly, I got more comments from people. They weren't screaming at me, but they were, very pointedly, offering helpful advice to me that I had incorrectly drawn the joint of that bird. I know I did. And truthfully, if I'd thought of it when I was first doing it, I would have made the leg go the other way. But, these are some that I made initially, and I wasn't going to throw the little bird away just because I had drawn its knee bending forward. We know that they are set up anatomically to go the other way. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put this in because this is how I had it originally drawn, and doggone it, they're whimsical. They're not supposed to be accurate representations of life. So I'm going to stand up for this little malformed bird, and we'll have him be in there anyway. Where's a good place? I think I can put that tag. Here's my Oregon license plate that was somewhat whimsical. Oh, I know what I can do. I can put this puzzle piece in with this bird because I got a little grouchy from time to time when like the 17th person said, "You did that bird's legs the wrong way." That's been part of my my YouTube journey this year. So why don't we go ahead and just celebrate that. Boy, this is barely gonna make it, but yeah, I'm going to put my little license plate there, and then I had made it as a journal card so I could write on the back, but I'm just going to turn it into a pocket. Because at this point I need the pockets more than I need the stuff to put in the pockets. I really enjoyed doing these license plates. I did one based on the Tennessee license plate that I sent to my friend Connie in Tennessee. Speaking of Connie, I have something that she inspired me to do, so I think I'm gonna, here's our little bird, and here's our other little bird saying everyone gets grouchy sometimes. I'm gonna put the grouchiness back here. There we go. Now, I have so many of these little birds, and I think I'm going to go through and add those in. And then I want to make certain that my friend Connie is incorporated in here somewhere. And this is some fabric tape that she made for me. And you know what? I'm going to put it right here. I like that. I'm just going to put it along the edge. Of this. It'll be right next to my initial. And she has been a wonderful champion for me on my YouTube journey. And I think about Connie a lot. Connie and her wonderful husband, Bill, who, because of the 4-leaf clover, were instrumental in me getting started with this. Where shall we put some of these little birds? I think I like this one with the pink. I need one facing this way. I want him a little more whimsical looking. That one. That one's pretty big. Yeah, I think I'm going to put this one back here, and he's going to be covering up those cactus flowers, but I think we're going to be fine with that. And I'm not going to glue down the wing because it's meant to go up and down like that. I've used so many of these in journals, very often on the pockets on the inside and back covers too. So this has become a traditional place for me to put these little birds. And let's see which ones. He kind of blends in a little too much. He's a little dark, but I like him. Yep, I think I can put him in there. So I might have a few more bits and pieces that I might do, but I am thinking this is it. I feel bad this is getting kind of long, much longer than my usual videos, but we will muddle through, won't we? More things I need to put in pockets, a few more little embellishments that I can put. I have these little flowers that I can scatter here and there. I have, things like this as a page edge. Maybe I'll put that here. That looks kind of nice. But I'm really going to go, I'm just going to have fun writing in this journal. I'm going to be writing about different projects. I'm going to be writing about the friends that I have made during this past year. And, ooh, I remember one other thing I wanted to do. I wanted to find a place, and I'll probably find several places, to stencil with this piece of punchinella, which I did not even know what this was until my friend Julie Torrens sent it to me. So I think I just am going to use that to give a little extra pizzazz all the way through this journal. Yeah, there's lots of different places I can put this. I think this is looking a little bit too blank even for me right now. So why don't I put this flower here? Again, this is a journal card, but I'm going to use it as a pocket. And I loved this one with the petals kind of loose and curved, so it's three-dimensional. And what could I put there? I think I'll put this in there, and I think I will put this triangle booklet in there, because I put one of my kooky little birds there with its legs going backwards, and I stamped the date that I first posted that video. Yeah, I like having this little triangle booklet in there. There's a lot that I can write, and this is one of my little pop-up booklets with a red pepper in it. Those are so easy to do, and I have a whole video about those as well. So I think, friends, that this is gonna just about call it for this journal. I think I'll attach some of this lace on the back, and we'll wrap that around a couple of times. And again, lace is a little bit more shabby chic than it is whimsical. But there are no rules. There are no rules in how we do these things. And for right now, I'm just going to kind of bundle this up I will go through and definitely put more stenciling with the punchinella on the pages, because that's going to kind of mimic the spattering that I have front and back. I will polish it up, and it's not quite done yet. But I think it's about as done as it's going to be until I mull on it a little bit more. So there is a nice summary of some of the things that have been really special to me that I've been able to share with you over the past year. And I thank you so much. Your responses, your views, all of the things, all of the ways that you have engaged with my channel have just meant so much to me. And it really has been fun. I really had no idea when I began this that that it was anything I was going to end up doing regularly. But I'm going to set this aside and come back to this. The first 4-leaf clover that I made that kind of got me started on all this, 4-leaf clover specimen card, I mailed that off to Connie and Bill. But I made another one because he got me 2 4-leaf clovers, and I made this. This was in my travel journal about that trip, and I will show you the back here. I have indeed used it as a card. It's going to go back in my travel journal, but I wanted to bring it out just as a sort of a thank you to my friends for inspiring me creatively. And this is just kind of what started this past year. So I will thank you once again, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.